Now every year we have this seminar on families. The last year we focused on those that are at the youngest age, the infants, the very young ones, the toddlers, focusing on and emphasizing on the covenantal family concept. Remember, it is always about the covenantal family. Now this year we move to the higher age groups. It does not mean that parents with toddlers and young ones should not be interested, because your children will very soon grow into this age. So this is where we are at this year. Now before we go any further, can you please turn with me to Malachi chapter 2 verse 15. Malachi chapter 2 verse 15. Malachi chapter 2 verse 15. If you're there, let's read it together. And did not he make one? Yet had he the residue of the Spirit, and wherefore one? That he might seek a godly seed. Therefore take heed to your spirit, and let none deal treacherously against the wife of his youth. May God bless the reading of his word. Now I have this question right from the beginning of this session to ask. Will the young ones, will the teenagers be in BPCWA as they grow up? These are pictures, I blur them up so you can't tell who's who, but these are pictures of our children in church. Will we see them after 5 years? Why do I want to ask this question? Because studies show that young adults leave the church, and it starts beginning in their heart to desire to leave church, to leave the faith, to question the faith, or even to change churches. It begins at the age of 13. These are quite consistent survey results around the world. So parents, you must know your teenager or your pre-teenager that is growing up. There are developments in their heart across the world. So please don't think your children are spared. And teens, young pre-teenagers, if you're honest, you know these are things that begin to occur in your heart. This is a burning platform. I'm showing you data results because I want you to know these are very real things that can happen in your family, in this church. That is why we are having this seminar. When we covered the progressive Christianity, we briefly talk about that. Many of the progressives, in other words, those that begin to have heretical views, those that leave the faith and denounce the faith completely, they are often people that say the same things when they are pre-teenagers and teenagers. What do we have here? Top 5 reasons why church dropouts, what church dropouts say, why they stop attending church. Now please remember 66% of, well, I take the American view, they are the most readily available results. They stop attending church at least a year after turning 18. So from the time of 13, things happening in their heart, by the time they are 18, 5 years later, they will decide in their hearts, I have enough of Christianity, or I have a different concept of Christianity. Some, because they moved to another college, or moved to university. Now this is another time where children begin to leave church. They begin to be not interested in the faith. 34% stop attending church when they enter university. 32%, what do they feel? What do they say? Church members are judgmental. Church members are hypocritical. We studied last night in great depth for 2 weeks. What is hypocrisy? They begin to see that. They begin to make judgments in their own heart as well. Or they feel disconnected from people in church. People are not interested in them, or they themselves are really not very interested in the group of people in church. 29% of people say that, and that's what they feel. Or 25%, I disagree with the church stance on social issues, political issues. Especially at university age or pre-university, they would be arguing, debating in school about many of these topics. And then they began to say, but I think I agree with the world's view more than the church's. And they begin to say, church is not for me, or Christianity should take another form. My responsibilities prevent me from attending church, right? Some other miscellaneous reasons. Now, which age did you regularly attend church? This was the question asked. And in the survey, you will see a trend, all right? You don't have to look at the details, but there is a trend. At 13 to 17, or 13 to 16, most of them will go to church. They will just keep going. But things are happening in their hearts. Parents must be aware and know how to parent. That is what we want to cover. But by the time they are 18, you will see the drop begin to take a steep dive to about 50%. And then it just continues on the downward trend. What is the point of showing you all this? You look at your child sitting next to you now. You do not know that they may be in this set of data, in the drop. Teenagers, young ones, all right? Young ones among us. You may be the ones. So you, as you hear about parenting, you in your heart must also say, yes, that is the change that's happening in me. When my parents do something, how should I respond? And parents must know what are the changes going on in your children's heart. So decline begins in the late teens. That must be something that concerns parents. Teens are less religious, another survey data. Less religious than parents by some measures, but not necessarily in worship attendance. What do we mean? In other words, it's saying when the children reach teenager age, they may keep going to church with parents, but in their heart, in their minds, their piety, godliness, holiness can be quite different from the parents. And notice the trends, all right? So in the blue, teenagers' parents. In the green, the teenagers, ages from 13 to 17, attend services, church services at least monthly. Parents, 43% would do so. Teens, about the same. They will go with the parents. Pray daily. Parents, about 50%, will pray daily, but their children, a parent that pray 50% of the time, their children would pray about half of that. These are surveys done in in individual family units. Means the parents are the parents of the teens that are being asked. And then 43% of parents will say, well, religion is very important in my life. Christianity is important. And if it is, well, 50% importance, the children will be half about that, 24%. All right? Believing in God with absolute certainty. Surely there is God. If the parents is 60%, the child will be 40%. What is the point of this slide? Parents, you must know how godly, how obedient you are to God, and how real, genuine your relationship is with God in your home. Your same child in your same home will pretty much half your godliness, half your love for God, though they may attend church as regularly as you. These are things that you must be conscious of. In other words, you may have Caleb, Cornelius, Chloe, and Elims, and so on here. They are coming with you. But you must be conscious, by and large, there are changes in their hearts, and they are trailing you in godliness, in seriousness towards God. So you see these changes. Now, what research reveals about teens? It's important to know what are in teens' hearts. Real changes. And teen, you must acknowledge that also. Yes, that is true. God exists. People want to be good. But God does not necessarily need to be involved in my life so closely. But I will turn to God when I need God. God is real, but it is not necessary and it is not what God expects that I walk very closely with Him. No, I will come to church when exams, I have problems, I pray to Him, I ask Him for help. Now, if teenagers lack an articulate faith, means they love to talk about their faith. Their faith is so real. Their conversations with friends at home, it's always about Christianity, about Christ. But if they lack such an articulate faith, it is usually because they find that the faith of the parents are too spineless to merit any way of conversation. What does it mean? It means they see that their parents' Christianity is weak, if not fake. It doesn't stand up because at home they are not practicing their faith. They have very little interest in their faith. But they will go to church. They will have Christianity. They will not want you to believe in other gods. But that's about it. Teens consistently held heretical views at a higher percentage than older respondents. This is something that I repeatedly emphasize in church. When God says, I will visit your sins upon your children, we studied that. It is not that you sin, God judge your children. What God is saying, that whatever sin you sin, your children will sin the same sin. If not, they will sin it worse. And in Israel, it's consistently so. So God is saying that whatever you practice in your life, fathers, mothers, in disobedience, open or secret, your child, they are already trailing you. They will sin worse sins than you. Now, God's intent, my son, hear the instruction of thy father, forsake not the law of thy mother, for they shall be an ornament of grace unto thy head, and chains about thy neck. You will see in the book of Proverbs, especially in the first many chapters, 10, 15 chapters, you will see these words, my son, repeatedly. This is not talking about boys only, all right? It is about children. My son, hear the instructions of thy father and forsake not the law of thy mother. What is God saying to parents? This presupposes that parents are parenting. When the father, this is a father talking to their children. This presupposes that parents, you are instructing your children in God's word. It presupposes that. What should the children, what should the teens, preteens understand from this? Remember, parenting is your parents' duty. And God says, please, listen to them when they teach you God's word. Listen to them. It is good for you. Verse 9. Ornament of grace unto thy head, chains about thy neck. It is good for you, glorious for you, restrains you from sin. So, how are we going to cover these sessions? There will be two parts on parenting. The first part, having known this burning platform, the first part we are going to deal with the pre-teenagers. How to parent pre-teenagers. Some of you have pre-teenagers now. After the break, we'll cover how to parent teenagers. Because some of you, your pre-teenagers are already teenagers. Teenagers, we will see what is defined as teenagers in the world. Children go through the developmental stages. By the way, this is drawn by someone in our church. Any resemblance to any living child is purely coincidental. All right, we just say, please draw, and then the person drew for us. All right, thank God for the person using the talent that God gives to this person to help us illustrate. Babies, toddlers, tweens. What are tweens? All right, your children will know what are tweens. Parents will know what are tweens. All right, tweens is what the world coined for children who are between toddlers and teenagers. They are in between, all right? So because they are in between toddlers and teenagers, so they are tweens. They are typically classified in the world 9 to 12 years old or 8 to 12 years old. So please don't argue with me on the ages, all right? The world broadly defines. But we want to use this because the world's data is based on that. Do I trust world's data? They rightly classify this group and they know and they see these behavioral changes, and the Christian parents must acknowledge, because the Bible does talk about the heart of the child at different ages. Mid-teens, mid to late teens. All right, so 13 to maybe about 15, the mid-teens or early teens, and then you have the late teens, probably the 15, 16 years old onwards. There are these two huge ranges, tweens and teens. Parents must identify the issues and then know how to parent. And young ones, as you begin to see your parent use these methods, you respond, knowing what is happening in your heart as well. What are the struggles in teens? Whether it's tweens or teens, these are the things that go on, and these are very common issues. They will begin to have many questions in their hearts and mind. We see at tweens and teens the varying degrees. We'll see that. They will begin to ask questions like, they will struggle with identity. Who am I? What should I be? What do I want to be? Now, at the toddler age, they just be what you tell them to be. Right? We covered the last session. Teach them, tell them, instruct them, guide them, control them. We kept talking about that. You can do that at the toddler's age. They will respond to it. You want me to be this? I'll be this. There are not too many questions. But when they reach pre-teenagers and teenagers' age, they begin to say, is this what I want to be? Belonging. They will begin to choose, where do I fit? With my friends, or with in the world, or with church friends? What is my identity? Who would I feel most comfortable with? These things begin to really happen in their hearts. During toddler age, you can tell them, don't play with that child. He's a bully. He's naughty. He will teach you bad things. The child says, okay. Right? But when they reach pre-teens and teenagers, you can't help it. They will begin to say, why? So these things begin to occur in their heart. So young people, you know that is happening in your heart. It's a reality. You can't shout and force them anymore. Purpose. They will begin to say, I want to have a clear purpose in my life. I want to belong to something. Not only that, that thing actually are groups of people or concepts or views that I resonate with, and I see that as my purpose. They begin to form these things in their mind. The world begins to try and conform them to the world's view. We also studied a lot about that at the last parenting session. They are the world's view. Now the child is struggling with all this. And then they will begin to want to form relationships. Right? BGR problems begins. We call it problem at that age because that is not the age to be involved in relationships. They are not mature enough. It is not the time to focus on that. So, but those things will begin to pull in their hearts. So you look at Gracia. All right? Gracia is not interested in boys. You look at Caleb. Caleb hates girls. But that is when they were very young. Now certain things begin to form in their minds. Why do you think there are so many teenagers, even pre-teenagers, in boy-girl relationships? Why? Because these things really happen in their hearts. And on top of all this, they will begin to struggle with parental authority. All right? I see those in the cry room. They are like, oh, no, my child is not quite obedient. Oh, it's naughty, but when I scold, when I hit the bum, and then okay, the child will listen, will have to obey. But as they enter pre-teens, you must know. So parents, even you have babes in arm, please listen, because your child very soon will enter pre-teens. What do you need to watch out for? What do you need to train them at this age in? So they will begin to ask, why must I listen to you? May not be challenging you, but they begin to question this thing that you say to me. Why should I obey it? What about the other views that I'm hearing? So they will struggle with just plain, I am authority to you, over you, so just do what I say. All these things will happen in the heart. So parents, you must know, these are real. These are things that will happen. You must anticipate, you must know what to look for, and you must know how to parent at this age. So the young ones, you must know that all these things will happen in your heart soon, or if not already it is happening. How should you respond to all this? It's important. Now I want to go back to the burning platform. If you as parent do not realize that your parenting style have to change in the different ages, and I say that with qualification. Your parenting style is always the biblical style, but at different ages, how to approach the child will need to change. You have to know that. Be conscious of that. And the key thing is this: you yourself have to change in your heart. What is parenting for? Every year we read this verse, this write-up. Marriage was ordained for mutual help of husband and wife. This is why you get married. God ordained if you are to be married. For the increase of mankind with legitimate issue, to give birth to children legitimately, not out of wedlock. That is why God for marriage. And of the church with an holy seed. It is to increase the church with holy seed. Young ones, listen to this. God said the reason why you are born into your family, the reason why you are born into this world in which your family is in church, is because you, all right? The Elims, the Elishas, the Enochs, the Isaac, you are supposed to be the increase of seed in the church, increase of members in the church. No, increase of godly, holy seed. So all the young ones, you must know, why are you born into daddy and mommy's family and daddy and mommy brings you to church? You are supposed to be holy seed in the church, because through the church, the work of God is done. You must not look at yourself as, I am for myself, I live for the world, for my school, for my friends. God says, no, I brought you into this world for the church. And parents, you must know, holy seed. God is not saying to bring up children, that's all. Godliness. What is holy seed? Now, I want to first take us back to the aim of parenting. Because unless the parent have clarity in your mind, I want to attend this session. I'm concerned about parenting. What is your aim? Because if you don't have an aim, then you do not know what objectives to build up, to form. The aim we read in the beginning. God says, I seek godly seed. I seek godly seed. God is saying, when you get married, when I give you seed, I am not looking for any ordinary seed. I'm not looking for seed like the rest of the world. I'm looking for seed, in other words, children. In other words, the future generation that are planted now. I am looking for godly seed. So parenting's aim is godly seed. Not just children that will grow up and survive in this world. Aim. What is an aim? What's the difference between an aim and an objective? The second part is objective. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he's old, he will not depart from it. Parents, your objective must be clear. Aims are the broad, overarching goal you want to achieve. I must know I must achieve holy seed, not just a child. I look at my child sitting with me. It is not just a child that has completed education in the lower grades. It is about, is my child holy? What are objectives? Objectives are the things that you put as plans, actions that you can measure, that you put a time bound to it to achieve the aim. In this course of this seminar, we want to talk about what objectives parents must have. Children, understand your parents' objective. They have an aim. You must have an aim. I'm supposed to be holy, not just a seed, but a holy seed. Parents, all the actions that you take. This is one of the key linking thoughts in this seminar, and I hope you don't miss it. The key linking thought, parents, especially when your child enters tweens and teens, you must link what you are doing, everything that you plan to do, in other words, your objectives, must have a very clear link in your own heart to the aim. What I mean is this. Whatever I say, I want my child to behave this way. I want my child to go to church. I want my child to study God's word. I want my child to attend family worship. I want my child to dress this way. I want my child not to have that friend. I want all your actions, your objectives, especially when they enter tweens and teens age, in your heart, it must be so clear. Why? Why? We will talk about the pitfalls of parenting. If you don't make it so crystal clear, you are going to fail. Because your child is entering an age where they are no longer just wanting to be controlled by you. Certain changes happen in them. And if in their hearts they do not know why, because even you do not know why, you are just wanting to control them, you will fail. Preparing to parent teens, all right? Now, parents must have an aim. I said this. The aim is godly seed. Please don't distract from that. To achieve godly seed, God says, train. Train up the child. What is the purpose? Because when he is old, when he grows up into teenagers, into teenagers and young adults, they will not depart from it. They will not depart from the faith. They will not depart from holy walk. They will not depart from church. We want to retain you in church not because we want the numbers. We want to retain you in church because that is the reason why God gave family children. It is very clear in scriptures. So, look at this picture and internalize it. Parents, why are you here? Jonathan, because not Claude, all right, and so on. Thomas. Why are you here with your wife and wives, your names too? I want to learn to train up my child. Why must this be clear? It is not, I want my child to behave so that it's less embarrassing for me. So, I want my child to be holy so that I don't have so much problems in life. No. It is not about you. It is about godly seed for God. Now, what are the things that you will face? Well, we talk about some. We'll deal with more. Teens, issues and their struggles. They will begin to face issues. They will begin to have struggles. What do I mean by that? They will begin to see, I have questions, I cannot understand this. I find myself struggling to accept this about Christianity. Or certain things in Christianity, certain things in our church. They will begin to have that, and they will have struggles. Struggles means you just tell them, just go, just do. Don't ask so much. And they will begin to argue, first in their hearts, then eventually verbally with you. They have all this. This is what you will go through. So parents, you think your child crying now, the baby is crying now, so troublesome. They will grow into more difficult age. All right? You say, I wish then I can just put the milk bottle and then the kid just, and then be happy. Now you need to answer things that are issues and struggles in their heart. It is not just answer their stomach call. Understand parenting pitfalls. You want to train up a child. Before you train up a child, you must know the pitfalls. Because if you keep using the same way as you deal with a toddler, there are pitfalls. If you do not know what you're trying to do, you will fall into pits. All right, and then I've mentioned the objectives. You will see in detail some of these objectives. And finally, the heart of the whole problem is a godly seed in the heart of your child. Why in the bull's eye? I do not want to draw a circle. When your child becomes preteen and teens, your aim is their heart. Your aim is their convictions. That is where parenting fails very often. We keep going on like they are toddlers, like they're post toddlers. I don't know, is it toddlings or what? You keep going on that way. There are real things in their heart that you need to deal with. It is a hard issue, parenting. Now, I want to talk about some of the aims, the common parenting pitfall. Adrian, what time is the break? Say again? 10 past 10. Right, we got to talk fast, all right? Now, some of the pitfalls you must remember as parenting. Pride. I just want to have a model. The church teaches this model. I see this model in the Bible. We live this model. All right? Jocelyn, don't ask so much questions. Just be like that. Because if you're not like that, church will criticize us, our family. So pride. Your concern is what other people say. And you just say, just do this. Just dress like that, just do that. Now I'm not saying you don't teach and tell. We will talk about that. That's one of the pitfalls. It's for you and how your family look. I'm so proud. You see, my family has family worship. And that's all the reason why you do family worship is we do family worship. Pride. The next pitfall is this. In other words, you are not trying to address the heart of the child. The next pitfall. I'm insulted if my child don't obey me. You get insulted because your child is challenging your authority. Your aim is not to change your child's heart. Your aim is, I don't like it when you talk back. I am your dad, I'm your mom. Who do you think you are? You just do what I tell you. It is not because you want your child to obey God, but you are just upset that your child has ruined your day. It's a personal authority issue. Now, next pitfall. Fear of losing their love. Fear of being uncool. You are so concerned about them not liking you. You are not seeing the heart that needs to be changed. Let the child be what he or she wants to be. If I talk to the child, I know how he or she will react. He or she will be angry at me. You are more concerned about that peace with them, that relationship with them. Relationship is extremely important. We'll cover that. But it is never because you fear you will lose their love, you fear you're uncool dad or mom, but because you need their heart to change. Some other pitfalls. I've said this many times. You want them to fulfill your dreams. That's all. Your dreams. I've said many times on that. You know what it is. And another pitfall is this. And this is crucial. Because from the data, it validates that. Something that I say all the time. They are attending church with me regularly, right? Elim is here, Chloe is here, Phoebe is here. They are with me all the time. They are coming very regularly. And you think things are well. The greatest pitfall in preteens is that. Don't think just because your child is there. We saw the data. You must notice what is going on in their heart. It is not their coming good enough. It is their heart, their convictions. So the parenting preteens is this big shift of consciousness. Now, so these are the pitfalls. So please beware. If you don't overcome this, the arrow cannot reach the center. If you shoot and you keep hitting the yellow part, the bright yellow part, yes, they are coming, yes, they are coming, yes, they are coming. It is far from the mark of parenting. But if you can hit the green ones, all right, go past the pitfalls, you are getting closer, Now, what are some of the prerequisites I want us to remember before we enter into talking about the teenagers, how to parent? We want to jump into it, right? Very anxious. Pastor, another 25 minutes more. Can you quickly give me please do this, please don't do this, please do that, please say this, please don't say that? Can you quickly jump into that? Before you hit the heart, there are prerequisites on the parents. I said that before. The changes that go on in your children's heart is very closely linked to what they see in you and what you want out of them, and then how they will decide. So it is not about you knowing what to do. It's first and foremost, you know the prerequisites. You fulfill the prerequisites. Then you will get to be able to fulfill the blue part, the objectives. All right? Now, what are some of the prerequisites? You must always remember these objectives in your heart. Exercise dependence upon God in prayer. You can jump to, all right, I think that's a good advice from this seminar. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Please remember, you are trying to change your child's heart. You're trying to build convictions in your child's heart. Unless you have a spiritual knife that you can literally plunge into your child's heart and operate on it, you have no chance of doing that. The only person in the universe that can change your child's heart is God. Don't keep thinking and keep reading. The first thing I want to read about how to parent. Read about what you need in your own life. Depend on God. We study about the sovereignty of God. We keep saying, sovereignty of God. I'm so happy to learn as a parent, as a father. God controls my boss's heart. God controls the government's heart to give me my PR. We think of all that. But you must remember God's sovereignty means God is the only one. Just like God is the only one can change king's heart, God is the only one can change the little princess, the little prince heart in your home. He is the only one. So before everything that I'm going to say after this, you must every day of your life kneel before God every day and pray for their salvation first. They are not saved. All the things you do, very difficult. Every day pray, Lord, my child is going wayward. Lord, these things are happening in my child's life. I can't even see. I don't even know. Lord, please, I depend on you. I'm going to do this. Please use this to work. It's the same as a pastor. I cry to God daily for your transformation. I know I don't sleep and prepare all the messages, all the slides, but nothing will change in you, parent. Nothing will change in you, young adult, unless God works. So that is where you begin. Frankly, I would say, if this is genuine in your life, you will find things, you may not even need many things to be reminded of you. Next, remember you're God's tool. What am I saying? The parents must know the fact that God says, you are this child's son. Alright? Alan is still in the hospital. Why does Alan have Abel now? Why does Ben and Cheryl has Eliezer? Why do you have Amberly? Why do you have Eugene? Why? God says the reason why is, I look at Thomas and wife, Thomas, you are supposed to be tool. Esther and Claude, you are my tool on earth. You are my equipment that I will use. What does it mean? You say, yeah, we know all that. It is like you. You have a nail that you need to hit into the wall. You went out specifically to buy a hammer. And you're going to use that hammer to fulfill that objective. So now what does that tell us? The godliness of your child's heart is formed by God using you as the carving tool. The world is constantly trying to carve worldviews, carve desires in your child. They are Satan's tools. You are fighting that battle. Young ones, teens, preteens, young adult. You must know, two tools are happening in your heart, working hard at it. You must know who to respond to. I know it is difficult. You may have struggled. But when the tool hits you, identify which tool it is. Now with that, you must consciously link all two biblical objectives. I said that already in the beginning. I am the tool. What am I trying to create in the heart of the child? Not what am I trying to create in this child for me, for my image, for my purpose, for my dreams and visions. Now, do you know what it means? You constantly look out for the pitfalls. I mentioned that. Train your child's heart while working on their convictions. All right? Now, there's something I want to say here first. Now, when you are God's tool, there's one thing that you must have like so clear in your heart, crystal clear, without any clouding. Because I am God's selected tool, then changing my child's heart to a godly seed, not just a seed, but a godly seed, is my all-consuming purpose in my life. I want to say that again. Parents, when you know you are God's tool, and you must be conscious of that, then nothing else in my life matters more than making my child's heart a godly seed, a godly heart. Nothing. I have my daily necessities and duties and responsibilities of life. Work, housework, teaching them schoolwork, cleaning, providing for them. All these are necessities of life. But nothing is more important when I'm doing all this than changing my child's heart for God. It means that when you know you are God's tool, not someone else. Claude is not chosen to be the tool for Edward's children. It is Edward and Karen. It is them. When you know that, and then you know this is my sole purpose, then you know another thing. Remember I talked about the prerequisites. The prerequisite is then I must be willing to give up anything that will stand in the way of me being the best example of teacher by my life, not just my words, to change their heart. Means there are things that you know you are not obeying God. Your child at preteen, they are already going to make judgments. We will see that. But daddy and mommy, they are not obeying God. They know it's not supposed to be doing that, but they are doing it. If this is the most important thing, you are working persons. You know, the most important thing for the promotion, you will do anything. You give up your exercise, you give up your sleep time, you give up your hobbies, you will even give up your family to achieve that. Because it's all encompassing to you. So you must make sacrifices. That's the bottom line I want to say. You must make sacrifices. To obey God, you may not like it. But you must remember, I'm tool must be sanctified. Why did God keep teaching in the temple? Please sprinkle on all these tools first. Clean it before you use it. The lesson is that only the tools that are sanctified will be used by God. And you know you are the tool. And if I do not live sanctified life, means deal with every known sin, according to scriptures, you will not be a tool. You say, why is my child like that? Why is my child like that? You keep saying, I want, Pastor, I really want. The only test of whether you really want is, do you make those sacrifices and those changes? Build convictions to live above the world. That is what you're trying to do. Train your child's heart while working on their behaviors. When they're toddlers, you can tell them, sit here, keep quiet. Go to sleep. Go to church. When they reach preteens and teens, you still need to work on their behaviors. But working on behaviors alone when they reach teens will eventually lead to failure. Because for a period, they will still probably do what you tell them to do. If you don't link it to the objective, and if you don't keep working on their heart, they will resist, they will resent, because they do not understand. Now there are two extremes to this in parenting as I read on things. One extreme is just tell them to do it. Just tell them, they're teenagers, tell them, go. Don't do this. Don't be with that friend. Don't dress like that. Don't. That's one extreme. No talk about what you're trying to do with the struggles in their heart. Then there is the other extreme. Don't tell them what to do. They are grown up. You can't tell them what to do. Just keep having a good relationship with them. All right? Not that relationship is not important. I'll talk about that. It is all about the heart. Make sure that they're not angry. You know, hopefully if they're not angry, they may listen to you. There is no more control of behavior. Both are wrong. This statement, train your child's heart while working on their behaviors, must go hand in hand. When they are toddlers, it will be train their behaviors and work on their heart. But when they reach preteen and teenagers, it's train their heart while you're working on their behaviors. Remember the difference. Build convictions for them to live above the world. What is this about? Your child will have struggles. We'll see later. Overarching statement, your aim in your heart is holy seed. Means Phoebe will say, what the world tells me, what the world wants, what my friends want, I live above that. That is what you're trying to build in your child, because you control their behaviors. Externally, they may be complying. It is still important to comply. But internally, their standards are the world's standards. And they will not wait, they can't wait for the day where they can be freed from your control. But if they have convictions in their heart, remember we study that verse. Wisdom is the principal thing. Remember we studied in prayer meeting. In all you're getting, get wisdom, right? And in all you're getting, ensure you get understanding. Claude, what is understanding? Yes. Huh? All right. Ben Khan, do you remember? I explained. We said understanding. What is understanding? You know? I explained so hard for weeks. Jemima, please don't fail. What is understanding? In all you're getting of wisdom. We always say, wisdom. But God says, get understanding. What's understanding? Very good. All right, reset everything. Okay, please remember. Convictions. When the Bible says understanding, means you have an understanding. I understand this, and now it is my conviction. It's quite sad. In all you're getting, get understanding. That is what you want to build in your child, convictions. Young ones, you are now going to face struggles in your heart. You want to build convictions. Next, quickly, objective. So much to say. Ensure your child have a genuine personal daily walk. It is no longer come and sit here, do family worship. All your controlling of their outward behaviors is no use if they themselves do not have a personal relationship with God. In other words, they are constantly responding to you simply because it's you. That's all. They do not have a real walk with God. We'll talk more about that, all right? They must repent because of God, not because of you. There must be trust and open communication. We'll talk about that. Mutual understanding of roles. We'll talk about that. But remember these terms, okay? Now we talk about twins. Now with that burning platform set, and you know in your heart what you're trying to achieve and what you must be. I don't want to say this again. The platform is this. It is burning. What is burning? Your child is going through changes. You may not see it in their heart. That's the burning platform. They can leave church. They can leave the faith. They can have a very different Christianity. There are prerequisites on you, parent, and the all-encompassing, overwhelming, only objective in your life is to work on their heart, to make them holy. Now, twins. Okay, we are definitely going to be late. Twins. We know our twins. What these slides will do is this. The left side column, transition stage. What will be going on in their heart? The middle part, what to look for. Means the parents must begin to know and observe and see, and when you see all these things, even if you don't see them, you must know it's happening in their hearts. What are the telltale signs? And then the spiritual preparation. What you must do in parenting twins. We are talking about twins now, all right? What you need to do in response. The transitioning stage, we want to talk about physical, we want to talk about emotional, we want to talk about cognitive, we want to talk about social. 4 aspects in every part of the twins and teens life. And what to do. Now, transition stage. Your twins, the 8 to maybe 11, 9 to 12, around that age. You must know consciously, they are going through a physical change, puberty. All right? And there will be more self-consciousness. Last time when I called Phoebe, but as Phoebe moved out of twins, there will be more self-consciousness. My name is Cobb, people are looking at me. There will be more self-consciousness. But they're still children. Still children means they will still listen to you. Sit still. They will listen. Not so much struggle, but they are beginning to be conscious of things. Sexual awareness will begin to occur in their heart. They may say, I don't like girls, I don't like boys, but they're beginning to notice the differences. Parents must be conscious of that. No longer tell them, all right, hold hands. That's why even in school, up to a certain age, they don't say hold hands, all right? Crossing the road, hold hands. They know it's the age where they begin to feel uncomfortable with changes. Now, why do I want to bring this up? You must begin to teach your children the gender differences. Modesty, purity, lust in the heart, in the mind. These things are things you need to begin to talk about. Because these things are beginning to be conscious in their life. You can't be embarrassed about it anymore, and you can't say they're too young, they don't understand. Later when they grow up, then I'll tell them after they committed fornication. So you must know they're going through this. No longer they're a toddler. Just ignore these things. That is why for a period in church, when I see certain children reach pre-adolescent, in the tweens age, and they're still playing with the uncle, aunties, the Youth 180 boys, like they were when they're toddlers. Jump on them, grab them, and then they start to hug them. I will tell them stop. Because at that age, you as parents must realize you must build that carefulness in them. The world will exploit them, and they do not know these changes. They begin to like some of these things. Some of them don't like, but Pastor, they are kids, what's wrong with carrying them? I say, no, they must be taught now, I do not do these things with adults anymore. Maybe some of the children didn't like me at that time. Say, no, stop it, And you say, why? Now, modesty and all this, why? Why keep harping about modesty? Remember this, your child will get used to exposing shoulder, wearing short skirts and all that, because they're toddlers, they don't care. They should care actually. But they are used to exposing much of their body. They can be exploited. They may not understand these things. They may change. Clothing, as we see later, has further ramification, all right? God does not emphasize modesty for no reason. Watch their media consumption. Because at that time they are curious. They are still children, but their curiosity begins. They know the differences. Watch what they watch on TV, on their iPads. It is a time where it's no more computer in your room alone. In the hall, face out. Because the point is, you must be conscious they are changing. And because they are still part children, part child, part growing into teens, you must still be very involved in controlling. Alright? Because of that. What they listen to the music. So at preteen, please don't think they are nothing. It's okay. They're not even teenagers yet. What are they listening to alone in their room? What are they having on their phones? Those things, remember, you are the tool. The world also wants to be the tool that form their heart. Their tools, the music, the movies. At this age, they will still be watching cartoons. They will still like those cartoons. But their cartoons will now change. The more adultish Disney movies. It's no more the very kiddie kind of cartoons. Maybe Tom and Jerry, that kind. I know it's not from Disney. I don't know where it's from, right? Warner Brothers, whatever. It's no more that. They are less interested in that. They may watch that, but now they're moving to certain themes. They will begin to change. You got to watch that. In other words, the spiritual preparation is still involvement. Next thing, in the cognitive stage of tweens, what is that? They will now begin to develop understanding beyond simple things, not abstract things. But they begin to understand cognitively. They can link things. At prayer meeting, they're understanding a bit more. They're not toddlers anymore. And they will begin to try to think about things. They will become less accepting of what you tell them. They're in between. They will listen, but in their heart they may begin to, why? That's why they ask many whys. Don't get irritated at this age when they ask why. Whenever they ask why, it's preteen now. I cannot be impatient. In fact, whenever they ask why, listen to this carefully, I hope you understand. When they ask why, you must see now, this is a great opportunity of parenting for me. Not, this is so troublesome. But it is such a great thing. They open up and ask me why. Because when they reach their teen, you are going to ask them why. And they are going to keep quiet. Why? What's wrong? Nothing. They will close up. But now the opportunity, but they will be less accepting. They will begin to think. Now, what to look out for? You now have to be very conscious, because they begin to think as well as not accept influences from media, from friends, from Christians. Now begin to take a bigger role in their life. Society, education, authorities, now they are also trying to tell them, this is the norm, this is the norm, this is norm. They are now beginning to hear more, because they begin to understand. I understand what is the world in school and my friends saying. I understand what Christians are saying. I understand what the Bible is saying. They begin to think. You need to begin to observe what? You need to begin to observe their friends, who they hang out with, who you invite to your home, to their birthday parties, become very crucial. Why do I say that? Because they are beginning to now observe, and they are beginning to say, who do I want to listen to? Spiritual preparation, salvation. Without salvation, you cannot change their hearts. You need to now consciously, I'm not saying when they're toddlers you don't preach the gospel to them all their life. This is a time where you intensify your explanations of the gospel. They are not going to say, Jesus loved me, this I know, what can wash away my sins but the blood of Jesus. They will sing that when they're young and they kind of relate it, but now they have to understand it. You need to explain at a different level. You do not know the gospel, you can't do that. Absolute authority in their life is the Bible. You know that now they are struggling. So now this parenting, you know they're struggling with what the world is telling them. They begin to understand that. They also understand what the Bible is telling them. They have more cognition. They link things. But they do not know what is the absolute authority. This is the age that is crucial. If you ask me, what is a step in preteens parenting? Build in their heart this conviction. The world says this, the Bible says this. From young, this age, God is always correct. God is infinite, God is glorious, God is the holy God, God is truth. God is always correct. Parents who do that have higher success. Then say, you must let them decide which religion. You cannot. Otherwise, God do not need parents. God will let them be born into a home without parents. The reason why you're a tool is, this is what you need to do. I remember a parent said, my child came back from school. Now, all the while in pre-teens, we keep teaching them the world and the Bible. But the Bible is always the correct view. They don't understand the meaning of worldview, but the Bible is always correct. God is always the truth. And then the child comes back from school. All right, first few days in school, they begin to ask, Daddy, you know, the school said this, but they are wrong. God says this. You see, the tween has received good parenting. They may not understand a lot of things, but they have linked in their cognition. Bible is always right. That's the first step. But if you yourself do not live like the Bible is always correct, you can tell them. But remember, it's cognition. Means they begin to link things as well. But in your life, it is not. They have the cognition to begin to see that. There are no more little toddlers that you say that, they assume that you believe in it. It is time to listen and teach. It's no longer telling them stories at family worship. Those of you who have pre-teens, as fathers, you have to sit down and start to think. You cannot be lazy anymore. David threw the stone at Goliath, Goliath died. Whoa! God won. They will sit there and they will begin to, I've heard that when I was a toddler, but what is it about? Now you have to think, what is the spiritual lesson that will work where? In their heart. In their heart. That God is all powerful. I only need to fear God. I don't need to fear the world, my friends. David did not fear all this. You begin to have to teach at a different level. That is my point. At preteens, you don't miss this channel. You don't miss this opportunity, because at this stage they begin to link things to their heart. Before that, they link things to behavior. I want to please mommy and daddy. They say, sit still, sit still. They say, come, I come. They say, don't, I don't. They say, do, I do. But now in cognitive stage, they begin to link things to their heart. That is when you build understanding, in other words, conviction. It begins there. The Elishas are not too young for convictions. The Grace, the Matthew, convictions must be things that are built in now. They can link now. So that when they are struggling, my friends say this, God says this, they automatically discount the world. Then you have built a holy seed. Beginning of a holy seed. Now next, memorize scriptures. Why we keep telling you to do that? Because Deuteronomy is clear. God says the way to live when you're in the land is like that. The Word of God overwhelms them. It saturates them. Because the world will saturate them with Disney ideas, with Warner Brothers ideas, with all sorts of philosophies of the world. They will bombard them with that. You do not have a scripture memorization program in your home. You have no chance to build convictions. The only chance is to know that you put into them the Word of God more than what the world can put into them about their words. Discussion of worldviews. Now is the time whatever you see on TV, you're watching the news and they say certain things. Oh, homosexuals are born like that. Please know they're in cognitive stage. They will say, oh, that's why. But then you need to now explain things to them. Homosexuality is a sin. We are all born with sin. Homosexuality is another kind of sin. We are all sinners. It is also another sin. Just because they're born with it doesn't mean it is okay. Like some are born with a tendency to steal, to lie. It's the same thing. Right? You begin to now have to be very patient to explain. No longer, this is wrong, all right? This is wrong. Turn on the TV. That's it. Now, I was on a plane once, and there was a school student sitting in front of my seat, a very young girl, all right? Maybe, I don't know, year 6 or something. It was a school outing. They're all in school uniforms. And then they were watching movies. Now, it was lunchtime. I was opening up something to read. Then I just looked across the opening because it's lunchtime. And then it happened to be a scene where a man was kissing another man. And then I saw this girl go like that. And then she switched channel. Which worldview did this young kid took? What was built into her? I don't know whether she's a Christian or not. Unbelievers can teach things like that. But they now are cognitive. They will begin to make choices. Not very strong yet. Alright, so remember that. Maggie. Right? Maggie was going through that. So Maggie, when you're listening, I'm going to be exposed to all this. When Daddy say always believe the Bible, right? Then you begin to say yes, always the Bible. Now next, emotional. They are going through emotional changes. They will be impressionable. They will build their own moral character to a big extent. Impressionable is the key word. Whatever impressions they get from around them, to an adult, you and I as parents, that's wrong, that's right. It's so simple, but to them, their impressions pressing on them and forming deep molds in them. When you look at your child, do not look at them as a toddler anymore. They are changing in their heart without you knowing. What do you impress them with more? Now, they look up to people, very important. This is a time where they look up. It could be an older brother or older sister, right? So Enoch, Grace, Anna, you must know, they are beginning to look up to you. They will find role models. Their compass is swinging wildly. They will think, is my friend in school a role model? Are the teachers in school a role model? Are Christians that follow the Bible a role model? Are the people in the Bible my role model? They are going to look up. You can't avoid that. That is why I say at this age, who you invite to your house, who you let them play with. You still have a chance to control that because they are still impressionable. Later they will choose. You have very little control. Social awareness, wider range of emotions. When they reach that age, you'll find that they may begin to suddenly have outbursts with you. So what happened? This sweet little child, they're always, Daddy, Mommy, I love you. Now they begin to have outbursts. What happened? You must know these things, all sorts of emotions are beginning to change in them, right? So young ones, you know yourself. You must know these are changes that are real. Some are good, some are not good. Now, I don't want to say that emotional changes, cognitive changes, they are evil. They are not. They are built in by God. The cognitive changes is the time when God says, now the cognitive changes are going to take place. Now you, in parenting, need to teach the heart. Now emotional changes are going to be exploding in them. Not as much as in teens, but now these things, they're beginning to develop emotions. Now you should turn their heart to love, to know what is love God. Before that, you say love God. You say, I love God like that. I love Daddy. I love. But now they will begin to think, I want to love God. They begin to link these things. Social awareness begins to develop. They want to belong. This is the age. They look up and they want to belong. Who you take on holidays with you when you travel as a family, who they interact with at the preteen age, they are naturally scanning for role models. Please know that. The aunties, the uncles that are playing with them, the relatives, if they are ungodly, if they are unbelievers, they are carnal Christians, they will be, I like this auntie and uncle so much. They develop their values. Don't take it lightly. I like my relatives, I like these friends, I just go. I mean, they're just twins. Oh, they won't notice anything. You are exposing them. Now that is why at this age, you must teach them about characters of the Bible. There is very few. Today, where a preteen or a twin can tell you the story of David and Goliath, of Daniel and the lion's den with conviction. Most of them can tell you the story, but very few look up to David, to Daniel as role model. Let me ask you to be honest, what are their role models at home? There, many children. Not sure. Now, I often see in houses of Christian families, I know after this, if I do visit you, all those things will be gone. Barbie dolls, Superman, Spider-Man, on their clothes, on their toys. Now, parents, you must think. You say, I want to learn to parent twins or teens. You must be thinking parents. Because at that age, Superman is real to them, is their hero. Spider-Man is their hero. Why do you think they want to dress like Spider-Man and go to the supermarket with you? Because it's so real to them. It's a model, it is a reality in their heart. And why do you think the little girl want to have golden hair, want to dress in taffeta skirts? Why? Because Barbie is a model to them. What you let into their lives at this point, you still can control. You say, this church is so extreme, I cannot believe this, cannot believe that. The point is this. Even the world recognizes your child will develop people that they look up to and what they see as what they want to be. Of course, as an adult, who wants to be Spider-Man is fake, but to them it is not. Make them look up to Bible characters. A teen says, maybe your family devotion is all the characters of the Bible. You always say, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do. I do not want to spend time doing it. What is your child's model? Next, what you look out for. Now you must scan these signs in them. They will admire certain people, certain things. Where does twin seek acceptance? Where, you must ask. You begin to put them in certain groups, certain school groups, certain activities. Know that wherever you put them, it is a whole new world to them, right? The Aladdin song, right? I remember when I used to watch all this. The world knows a whole new world. I will show you a whole new world. Your parents show you that world. Remember? Come with me, let's go. Should I go? No. My parents say I shouldn't go, and I'll show you a whole new world. Come with me. That is the words of the world. You sillily let them, such a thing, sillily, you foolishly, all right? Let them watch this. Go there. In their minds, they are transported to another world with figures that they are looking up to. You begin to tell them the Bible, not interested. Next, spiritual preparation. Oh, we are way overdue. Spiritual preparation. Now, you now begin to need to teach them, teach their heart, honor God. Love God. These are concepts that you must now start to build in. I said just now, it's not so much about them obeying you. It is in their heart. Now they link cognitively. When I obey daddy and mommy, I am obeying God. God is using them to teach me how to obey Him, who I cannot see. This cognitive understanding must begin. You cannot just keep telling, Phoebe, just do this, all right? Love God. Now, there is a lot of sitting down and explaining. Different. No more playing anymore. But the thing you are trying to build is not just authority, now honor. Now, genuine home religion, very crucial. Cognitive stage is where they know Christianity is real or false. They are cognitive. They know you are fake. Or they will learn. Eventually, well, Christianity is just another religion like other people believe in Buddhism. My family chose Christianity because it's just something they do at church. When they get home, they are different people. You must be willing to give up anything that will mar your cognitive teaching to them. We learn that daddy should not do this, but he's doing it. We learn mommy should not do this, but she's doing it. They are at the age where they will still listen. But mommy and daddy say, do this. Then you may even say, and it's a terrible thing to say, do what I tell you, don't do what I do. Or, please don't talk back. This is not about me, it's about you. Your obedience. Very common statements, and we have to hear ourselves. You can tell a toddler that, which is still wrong. But you tell a preteen that, they begin to say, oh, okay, I understand how to live as a Christian. In church, like that. In school, at home, doesn't matter. Or worse, when they reach a certain age, why they leave church? It is just a religion. Come on, it is not real. Because it's not real in my family's life. You want to parent teen. It must be so real in your life that you give up things that you know you love, you want. That will become very inconvenient for you if you give it up. It may be your life's dream and everything you've done to achieve that. But when they see, you learn it is not supposed to be and you change. The preteen cognitive linking in their heart and mind is, this is real. Later on, when you die or when they are alone with friends, they know what is real. I cannot emphasize this enough. What do they admire? Be in church together with your twin. Come with them, not drop them off. It's the most terrible thing. They will say, I can't wait till the day where I don't come myself. Observe their attentiveness. I said this many times. Toddlers, well, you know they absorb maybe 10%, 20% at the most. But a tween, they will absorb 50%, 60%. If they are not absorbing, parents, please, the point is what to look out for and what to prepare. When you begin to realize, when they're young, they listen, they're excited. Pastor draw a cartoon, they draw a cartoon. They love to imitate. But later, they don't seem to be interested anymore. They seem to have a distant look in preteen age. You teach, well, sometimes they're interested, sometimes they are, and most of the time they are no longer interested. These are telltale signs you have a serious heart problem. Don't think that just because they keep coming week after week with you to prayer meeting, to Friday Bible study, to worship, even go to nursing home with you, all is fine. You watch their eyes, you watch their heart, you watch their interest level. You want to parent twins? You have reached a different level of watching, dealing with all these things. Parents as role models, cannot overemphasize that. The social changes, they will begin to experience the social changes. What do I mean by that? They will begin to separate between boys and girls. They won't want to play with girls anymore. Won't want to play with boys anymore. Although in their heart certain things are changing. Maybe that's why they begin to be more conscious. Family is still important. Please know, at this stage, you have great chance, great opportunity. Twins is still an age where they will still gravitate to you. Family is still important to them. You get angry at them, they still feel sad. But now they will begin to spend less time with you. True? They will want to they want to go out. They want to play in the playground. They want to meet other classmates. When they come to church, they don't stick to you anymore. They run and play with their friends. You have to know the heart. These things are changing. Group identity. Different from teens. Teens, we'll talk about that. At this stage, they seek acceptance. They seek to belong. Then you have to begin to observe. Who do your child like to play with? What kind of company? You have to intervene because you are still important to them at that stage. They still value your inputs. They still want to please you. Alright? Now, if they are not naturally part of a church group, you have to be careful. Because this is a time they want to form belongings. If their formation of belonging is friends outside church, that will pretty much be their next stage of life. Why we say covenantal family? Bring them. Why did God say covenantal family? Infant baptize them, circumcise them in those days. Make them part of the meetings. Bring them to the congregation. Why? Because if these children begin to mix with the heathens, now we're not saying the heathens are devils and so on. We need to reach out to them. But your child can't make the differentiation in their heart yet. You have to be in the control of who they spend time with. Now, one other thing I want to say is about the transitioning. I notice in all your children, at their toddler, pre-tween age, they love to come to church. Alright, young ones, remember, you love to come to church. Then you might, why are we not going to church? Tuesday night, we don't go to church. You're not going to church? Can you ask Auntie so-and-so come pick me to church? I say, wow. But you still need to know, at tween age, or pre-tween age, certain things are happening in the heart. They may want to come to church because of Eugene. I want to play with Eugene. I want to play with Matthew. I want to play with Enoch. They may come not because of the heart that is seeking God. Don't be too happy. I'm not saying don't let them come, alright? But now it's all a different ball game. They may come because they don't want to miss out. Girls are like that. They do not want to miss out to be part of the group. All the other girls, the bigger sisters, are in church with other people. I don't want to miss out. Daddy, Mommy, I want to go to church. Because they don't want to miss out on what is happening in church that night. They want to be part of the people that close their eyes and pray together. They are going through all this. So please, no, there is nothing the church can do more than you can do. You can do a lot because you are the only one that can observe and know. You must teach heart religion to them. But heart religion must begin in your heart first. They are cognitive. They are social. Now you have to teach them about carefulness. Now you have to do this, alright? Now, on the right, build trust and an environment of biblical family counsel and love. Very crucial. Out of toddler age already, you don't tell them. Now when you tell them, they will want to ask why. But if there is little trust between them and you, they are not going to ask why after some time. They don't even want to listen. They will just sit there because they have to. As soon as family worship over, they are running to their rooms because there is no spiritual closeness, family love. You can bring them when you're young, just listen, and you are figure that they just obey. No longer at tweens. We'll talk more about that in teens, all right? Now, start integrating them to fellowship groups. Encourage spiritual fellowship with peers. Bring them to church. Because they are just scanning all the time. Who I spend most time with, that seems to be the group identity I will have. I spend more time in certain ECA groups in school, that will be my group identity. They are building group identity. Know that at this age. They crave acceptance. They are also forming what do I want in purpose. You will expose them to purpose of loving God, living for God, serving God. They embrace that as their purpose. You want to be this and that in school, be this king and queen in school, or this whatever position in school. That is the real world to them then, and that is the purpose they embrace. Now you notice one thing, most of the children at whatever age, the first thing they do when they come out of school, during school holidays, is typically the job, the university course they want to take, and the job they want to enter. Do you agree? Most of the students that come here and study, I say, why are you taking physiotherapy? Oh, because during my school break, I actually work with children, I find that, hey, it's very interesting, and I want to take speech therapy. Why do you want to take physiotherapy? Because when I was doing, my sisters, why do you want to? Because the older sister was in this profession. She just followed. You are exposing them to choose what is their world's identity now. At tweens, you need to talk to them about these things. All right? Last slide, I think. Yeah, last slide. These are wrong assumptions and the problems it leads to. Very common wrong assumptions in parenting pre-teens or tweens. They are too young to understand. It's only 9-year-old. No, they are not. Medically, people know cognition begins to form in them. They begin to seek acceptance. They begin to build identity at that time. They want to have someone to look up to at that time. Your child must look up to you, not to someone else. The day when your tweens look up to someone else, you know you have failed. The Bible was not supposed to be like that at all. Remember that. I'll say more about that after. Now, the result, pretend not to care, pretend not to or cannot, and do not want to try to understand. What will happen? They know, because every time they come to church and they say, my kids don't understand yet. Come and ask them to be part of whatever it is, serving God, busy bee. They're too young. They don't know what to do. No, they're forming condition. And then when they hear you say that, they begin to say, Mommy, Daddy, after some time, I'm too young. I'm too young. I'm too young to sit in Sunday school. I'm too young. They will say that they are too young. Because you say that they cannot understand. Those are the consequences. They understand. They understand more complex things in school, in the cognition area. The school takes time to build up their cognition. Toys are designed to build up their cognition. It is their age. But we say, no, they are too young. Next, the other famous, when they are older. When they're older, we'll bring them to church. When they're older, I teach them about the heart. When they're older. But by the time they're older, they already form their own groups. They already form their own identity. They already begin to rebel against the authority of the word. Then you will say, I wish I tried earlier. Is it too late? We'll see afterwards. She knows better than to do that. What is the problem with this? Now, she may try that only when she's a teen. You think at this age, they know better. They won't do that. Yeah, maybe when they're teen, they will begin to do that. What they will do at their teen age is already what they're doing in their heart in their tweens. Please know that. Under the cover of their bed, when you're not at home, they are already doing that. Now, at this age, they begin to know how to hide things from you. Right, parents, you know, right? But at the same time, they are quite conscious that they need to obey you and it is wrong. There's this struggle in them. They come to church with me, so everything is okay. I mentioned that. But if you are not looking into their hearts, don't be surprised that they will finally come a day and say, I don't want to go to church anymore, I don't want to go to this church anymore, or I don't believe in Christianity anymore. The heart. Don't know how we're going to do this. 3 minutes break, right? Toilet break, and then we come back to twins. Let us pray. Now, someone asked, what is the difference between psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs? Someone also asked, can we just have instrumental music? Can we worship God with instrumental music?